Hi, my name is Alina. Back in the late 90s, I went on a vacation to Amsterdam, and quite by chance, or so I thought, I went to visit the Anne Frank House Museum with my two young children. This is the townhouse where a young Jewish teen and her family hid from the Nazis during World War II during a time otherwise known as the Holocaust. She hid there because those of the Jewish faith were being hunted down like animals. I might add that both of my parents were Holocaust survivors and that therefore I am an adult child of two Holocaust survivors. Ultimately, the bulk of the German Nazi wrath came down on some 6 million people of the Jewish faith who were sent to death in cattle cars. What I witnessed when I went into that townhouse was the most gruesome acts that humanity had perpetrated on itself. Virtually every square inch of that wall was filled with photographs of the most unimaginable acts one has ever seen or could imagine. There were pictures of bodies piled high and pictures of walking human skeletons. The pain and suffering in those photographs was unimaginable. It was difficult for me to stay in that energy, and so I left not too soon after entering. This visit, however, would change my life forever. Extraordinary things began to happen virtually the moment I set foot outside the walls of that townhouse. I started to engage in a process known as automatic writing. And for those of you unfamiliar with this term, it's an action whereby one places one's pen onto paper or fingers on a keyboard, and words, sentences, concepts, meanings, whole thoughts, and ideas just flow through without any effort or intention on the part of the person that is receiving this information. In fact, the person receiving this information is not the writer, but the tool used to express the writings. I would eventually come to believe that the souls of the departed had somehow spoken through me, through my soul. They wanted the world to understand how and why humanity engaged in these gruesome and violent acts, and how each of us has the capacity to replicate such acts to varying degrees. They wanted us to understand and learn what it is that we need to do in order to eradicate this river of rage lodged within our hearts that acts out in violence towards oneself or others. And so, during the course of this automatic writing, I would have a pen and pencil at my bedside, because in the middle of the night, streams of messages would come through. That would happen throughout my whole day as well, when I was otherwise not involved in activity. I didn't quite know what to call these writings. They would sometimes take me years, if not decades, to understand the deeper meanings behind these seemingly simple words. I eventually came to believe they were the Latter-day Psalms collectively, and I would eventually call them the voice of the soul. The messages that were received were life-transforming. Having been a child of two Holocaust survivors, I carried the pain and angst of each of my parents' losses and sufferings for decades. The writings would ultimately guide me towards a resolution and release of that overbearing pain that I carried for decades. I believe it can do the same for you. In addition to these messages, whole musical compositions with deep meanings also came through. And in addition to the musical compositions, a guided meditation known as Pain Transmutation Guided Meditation also came through, which has the specific and distinct purpose of enabling us human beings to release the pain each of us has held on to since birth and prior. One of the many messages that came through was a writing called the 12 Commandments. I believe if humanity followed these commandments, there would be peace on earth. Because if humanity followed these 12 commandments, they would automatically be compelled to carry out the 10 commandments that we all know. One would flow from the other. In this YouTube channel, I hope to bring you the answers to questions like, why were we created? What is our purpose on earth? What is the purpose of pain? Yes, pain has a purpose, and you'll come to understand through these videos that it can be the gift. What is fear? What is desire? How to release the pain that we have been carrying and become a clear vessel reverberating with harmony and love, and so much more. And so for now, I will leave you. May you be blessed and be filled with health. Good night.